Just as I thought my new wisdom would be sufficient to propel me to Uсть-Nera, we were back to the skating rinks with our sleds. Did you ever slip on animal dung? Then you'd know the consistency of hundreds of kilometers of this road. No, river of bones. We once passed several stranded trucks by driving through a pasture. Of course, entering the pasture was also highly risky. Our drivers were really talented. The two-wheel drive Japanese vans cut through the liquid roads like hot knives through butter. Our lead car lost the wheel, which the drivers changed in 10 minutes in the mud. After Wolba, the road suddenly dried up and we could proceed at a very shaky 50 kilometers per hour. We arrived to the ferry 10 hours late. The late arrival, however, let us skip the overnight pause in ferry operation. Therefore, we only really lost 6 hours. We had lunch and the sun was shining. With all the sleep deficit, I was unable to differentiate the largest insects from the smallest birds. The driver answered that this is the most difficult passage ever for him on this route. A record. The co-passenger Danil, resident in Moscow, but for the third time on this road, confirmed that the conditions were abnormal. Once on the ferry, the driver had his first nap in minimum 20 hours. The ferry passage across the river Aldan, including loading, took 2 hours. Some nap, no? The passengers on the ferry squished themselves between the running truck motors and the edge of the boat and exchanged stories of their frequency of returning to Yakutia. Only Daniil and I in separate buses were non-Yakut. We left the river port on the north side of the Aldan and continued through Kandiga, each hoping for some signal to the internet. In Ytyk-Kyuyol, we stopped for a meal, where the internet was also deactivated. Digital detox, cold turkey. After a call on the cab radio, we helped a stranded trucker with a transmission. On leaving that trucker, we discovered a rattle in our own suspension. We first passed a 3-kilometer danger zone in which we did not stop. The driver pulls over and unsuccessfully calls his convoy comrades to inform of his need to perform a tire replacement. The driver begins jacking the bus and dismounting the ailing wheel. After 30 minutes, one of our drivers returns, finishes the job, and we are again on our way at 7:15 p.m. We pull over at a reasonably luxurious campsite and some passengers eat. I'm still fasting and it is easier and easier to instantaneously sleep. I was awoken to knocks on my window and an empty minibus. The views are spectacular and the sun has escaped behind the mountains, but the daylight remains at all hours, coloring the horizon, rivers, and ponds in a landscape which seems extraterrestrial. We delivered Daniil to a river. Daniil revealed to me in Ytyk-Kyuyol that he must report his condition and whereabouts to the federal safety authorities every 2 days. His first task this evening is therefore to open the satellite dish and report to them, because we've been already moving for almost 2 days. We deliver both passengers and packages to the region, or town, of Terut. It is a festive occasion for both passengers and mosquitoes. The top of our minibus loses lots of volume.